Sessions. This lesson is for the beginner. How do we get started? What do we got to get into in order to get to playing our favorite songs? That should be our goal. So you're getting started with the guitar. The first thing that you want to put your mindset on is, I want to get through all the stuff that's going to prevent me from playing the songs that I love. And I want to get through those basic skills. What that requires of you is to memorize your chord fingerings, to practice your chord fingerings, and also to practice from chord to chord fingerings. So practicing your chords from chord to chord, and also common chord progressions that are a basis of thousands of songs. All right. So today we are going to discuss 3 chord progressions to get you started. What I want you to do is, each one of these, I want you to memorize the chord grips in the order of chords. We're going to start beginning is the easiest, and then progressively get harder. So with that said, my first chord progression that I give anybody who can play a G chord is the 1-4 chord progression, which in the case of G, our favorite key, is G. And notice the way I play a G. 2, 1, 3, 4. That is the G that lots, like you listen to your music, that's the G that you're hearing 99% of the time, unless you're doing something like that. But anyway, this is your G. Going to your C add 9 is a simple move. This is why this is progression number 1. All I'm doing is moving this little finger mold, my second finger and my first finger, down 1 string. Okay? So, chord progression number 1, you can practice this. You can practice your strumming patterns with this. You're playing 2 different chords, but G to your C add 9. So it is, when you see it in a chord chart, it's C add 9. It's not CAD 9. There is no such thing as CAD 9. C add 9. If you're into like praise music and in church and all that kind of stuff, students that I've had, they call that the 2 chord, and I don't understand why. But anyway, but it's a thing. This is your C2 chord. That's what they mean. We call it, the rest of us call it a C add 9. Real common. It's in lots of songs. It's a substitute. We can play that C add 9 instead of a C chord. C chord's harder. That's why we're not going to do it right away. All right. Progression number 2. Progression number 2 is what is often referred to as the axis chord progression. Okay. The axis chord progression. Okay, so what is the axis chord progression? There's this comedy troupe called Axis of Awesome that did the 4 chord song like 10, 15 years ago. You can find it on YouTube. They found like 7 minutes of songs, and they slurred them all together. It all had the same progression. If we were to transpose that to a guitar-friendly key, it would be the G chord to the D chord to the E minor chord to the C chord. That's our axis progression in a major key. Thousands of songs. Now, things we want to think about when we're doing this. First of all, note that my thumb position. Note that my thumb is going to be on the back of the neck, up and down. I would call that the Fonzie thumb. Okay? Next thing I think about is, I'm switching from chord to chord. I think, is there any finger that is in common to both chords? So that in common finger, in the case of the G to the D, is your 3rd finger. I don't move the 3rd finger. That is what in the Guitar Collective we call that scout finger. So G to D. And memorize that. You play that for 10 minutes, that thing will be in your system, and then we start working on songs that make use of this, and there are thousands of them. Thousands of the ones you like and you've heard before. Okay? Then from there we go to your E minor. There are no uncommon fingers going from D to your E minor, but what we are going to do, we're going to play your E minor chord as we always do, like 90% of the time, which is your first and second finger. And then go to your C chord. Note that when I play my C chord, it is on my fingers are on an angle. All right, and the scout finger is that second finger. Here is a trick. If that is too hard for you, to me, I think the C chord is the hardest chord among the open chords. I think when I say that, my students. To make this easy for you, there is an easy C. The easy C is a 4-string chord, which would be this. E minor to C, and you can just practice that little movement for a week. That's easy C, so I'm just moving my first finger from the 5th string 2nd fret to the second string 1st fret. So it's G, D, E minor, C. And then you repeat the whole progression. So after C, what I do is I move my second finger back up top and go back to G. So whenever there is no fingers that are in common between the two chords, and there's no slide fingers or anything that we haven't talked about yet, the finger I move first is the lowest finger of the chord you're going to. That's what I call the guide finger. So from C to G. Now you practice this progression. It's kind of a let it be kind of vibe. You practice that progression over and over and over. It is the basis for thousands and thousands of songs. All right? So that's progression number 2, the axis progression. All right, now the minor version of that same progression is progression number 3. And we'll call that the minor axis progression. So E minor. So instead of going from G, D, E minor, C, we start on the E minor chord. E minor, C, G, D. They're using the same movements as the axis progression. E minor to C, and we go back to G to D. E minor to C, G to D. E minor to C, G to D. All right? 3 progressions. The goal is always, let's get through this stuff. We have memorized the chords, memorized the feel of going from one chord to the next. Get rid of the struggle. We don't want to be struggling with this. We don't want to be like having to go to a book to refer to what is my G chord. We want to be playing songs. We want to be playing chord progressions. We want to get cut through that as quickly as possible. Okay, the quicker you get to that, the quicker you get to the fun stuff. So the other thing, once you get into that, we practice with the drum machine, practice with songs. Okay. And there's songs that we'll show you later in Boomer Guitar Sessions for you beginners to get you doing this. All right. Until next time. See you later. Hi, this is Rod from Boomer Guitar Sessions. I personally wanted to thank you for being part of our community. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. And this helps me spread my musical messages to all over the world. Thank you. I appreciate you. And always remember, you can do this.